Thank you.
Nice. For agenda items. I used to say, the wind weeds out the sissies because your roots get loose. And then I said, I'm done. I'm weeded out. I'm weeded. We are weeded out. We're leaving.
Do you know Du Bois?
Yes,
I love it.
it is. It's very cute.
Kind of like, oh,
It's very sweet. I haven't been there in a long time.
All right, it is 6:30 and I am calling this meeting to order. Let's stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
There's a handout we were just given.
All right, first item on the agenda is approval of the, roll call. Duh. Good morning.
Mayor Bachran,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Knudsen,
Present.
Trustee Smith here, Trustee Valentine,
here.
Trustee Stelter, Trustee McKinnis,
We break the tie.
Here.
and Trustee Schwartz.
Present.
Yep.
Oh, there you go. Oh, we're
He's
still.
joining us on tonight.
Oh, I didn't know she was in coast.
All right, next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve the agenda as posted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you, Kathy. I need to wait for you. All right, next up is announcements. You want to do this
Yes.
one, Dave?
Oh. But everyone has seen these posted around town. And it's the Safe Routes to Apple Valley Park. It's a walk and roll audit. So we're gathering to talk about barriers to safety, walking and using scooters, bikes, strollers to our local parks in Paonia. We want to identify challenges and find collaborative solutions. So we're meeting on April 3rd, which I believe is that a Wednesday? Yeah, thank you. 2:30 here at Town Hall. We're going to walk by the elementary school, and at 3:45, family and kids are meeting us at Paonia Town Park. And then at 4:30, we're ending up at Apple Valley Park. It's supported by a grant that we got and also by the Colorado Department of Public Health. And they are actually putting some money up for gift cards for participants. So there could be a little bit of a appreciation if you show up.
So I wanted to ask you, so there's going to be a meeting at Town Hall before you start the walk?
Everyone's meeting at Town Hall and we're walking from here.
Okay, it seems like an hour and 15 minutes is a long time.
That's what it takes to gather people.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
Yeah.
Take back my comment. Any other announcements?
Madam Mayor, I just wanted to let the board know too that walk and roll audit has also been posted so that any members of the board can.
Great, thank you. All right, next up on the agenda is our public comment period. This is for anything that is not included under actions and presentations. 3 minutes per person. Raise your hand, be recognized by the chair, and then come to the podium, state your name and address, and then please make your comment. Would anyone like to address the board on something that is not on actions and presentation?
Hi there. I would like to, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I would just like to read a letter really quickly here. I know I have 3 minutes, so if it's okay, I can just go ahead and just read this. My name's Melanie Wolf, and I was a resident of Paonia. I'm no longer living there. I just sold my home, but can I go ahead and speak?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm just going to read the letter. I have been overcharged on my utility bill by the town of Paonia several times over the course of the 3 years I have lived in my home on Box Elder Avenue in Paonia. I've had to call them to adjust my bill over and over again. In January, my bill went up from $125 to $230 a month. Ruben, a staff member, said that there was a rate increase. I spoke with Ruben on March 7th, and he stated he would get the amount adjusted, and it never happened. So when I sold my house, there was the $150 escrow set aside since my bill was usually around $125 after the last rate increase. I found out nothing was adjusted, and my February bill was not correct either. I spoke with Samira, who spoke with the administrator, and they adjusted due to a water standby fee and a sewer standby fee added to the account incorrectly. Why would either one of those fees be added to my account? Makes no sense. I live in 400 feet and I'm the only occupant in the house. And I just took one shower a day. It never made sense, the overcharging. And every time there has been an adjustment with the staff person stated the system isn't calculating correctly. I've heard that many times. Something with the system is not correct. It has been an ongoing issue, and I have to watch those blue utility bill cards closely each month. Also, my interaction with one of the staff was not helpful. I felt attacked when I mentioned it. I believed it was fraud. How frustrating to be overcharged and the staff person provide no empathy and to feel completely helpless, and that I have to pay more just because the incorrect system decides the amount. The reality is that this is criminal to overcharge the residents there if they didn't use the water. In this instance, the bill had added standby fees, which Samira said she had no idea why they were added. I'm not sure, but a lot of my friends have stated that they have also had issues. I'm not sure if an investigation is in order, but it's not good. I'm a nurse and have the means to pay, but what if I was a senior on fixed income and my bill keeps changing by a significant amount? Is this how we want to treat our residents in Paonia? It's illegal and wrong. I also reported these issues to the state as I feel they need to know what is happening in this valley. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the board?
Christina Patterson, Price Road. I'm speaking on the election integrity. Against, I wrote a letter to everybody, all the trustees, the town administrator, and I never heard a word back. This was Friday afternoon, and I asked it to be included in the packet, but it wasn't. So I'll just read it for the record. Town Paonia trustees and administrator, this Facebook post, 3/15/24, that follows, recommending 3 trustee candidates in a 4-candidate race, was liked by the official Town of Paonia, Colorado Facebook page. This certainly seems like the town is giving its tacit endorsement of these candidates. The 3 candidates being endorsed in the post are the same ones who sent out campaign materials bearing the Town of Paonia's official logo, giving the impression that this material originated from the Town of Paonia. The similarity to town letterhead was so blatant that the town attorney was forced to write a letter explaining that this material did not originate from the town. That in fact, the town is not legally allowed to make political endorsements, and that these candidates were no longer allowed to mislead voters by using the town logo on future campaign materials. Given that impersonating an endorsement from the town has already been an issue in this election, it is surprising to see that this actual endorsement originating from the Town of Paonia on social media through the very same candidates. Had this citizens post merely been a reminder to vote, or how important voting is, or how democracy only works when everyone participates, etc., then a like thumbs up from the town would be understandable. But chiming in on a candidate's endorsement could easily lead a Facebook user to conclude that the Town of Paonia wholeheartedly and officially has chosen the candidates it supports. I would like to know who administrates the Town of Paonia Facebook page and who spoke in the capacity as the voice of the town. I think in the very least, an apology and retraction is in order, one that is posted on the town's Facebook page and on the Paonia, Colorado message board where it originated. Please include this letter in the next meeting packet. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Jess Durham Ackerman. I'm the Executive Director of the North Fork Valley Creative Coalition, and I would like to invite you all to come to Final Friday Frolic in the Creative District in Paonia this Friday. I also wanted to mention that Paonia Clayworks is having their second annual Bowl-a-thon fundraiser at the Hearth on Saturday night from 5 to 7 to raise money so that they can keep the doors and wheels going. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, let's move on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda.
Second,
Seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Kathy? Okay, motion passes. All right, next up is staff reports. Mr. Nguyen.
Well, so departmental scorecard hasn't been updated by me. Have a few other things going on. If you guys don't know, the audit is done. Our next presentation is from Mr. Hinkle with Hinkle and Partners CPAs. That's presenting the audit. I had to work to redo the MD&A after final numbers were finished. So that took time. I can also tell you that utility billing has taken time. So I want to let you know where we've got, where we started and where we are. When I got here in July, we were manually reading bills, writing them down, and then manually transposing them into our utility billing software. Not doing that anymore. We are radio reading bills. They're going to a cloud. We're downloading that and putting it into our software. So we've gone from something that was very inaccurate, open to human error, to something that is not. There are still some issues that we still run into, namely with like resolutions being off and multipliers being off, but we change them as they come in. Over the last 2 days, I've done nothing but work on utility billing before they go out in the mail. So I was here till about 8 o'clock last night. I was here over the weekend working with utility bills as well to make sure that what goes out is accurate. So that's what we've been working on. Let me pull some things up for you. So one of the things that I wanted to, wanted to go over were a utility rate comparison. And there were some interesting things that came out of this utility rate comparison that I finished yesterday. And see, it's not sharing, so let me. So I couldn't see where anything like this had ever been done for the town before, so I wanted to see where we stood with our utility bills in the region. And so I compared us to a number of other communities, not only in Delta County, but also going south towards Montrose as well. I didn't have time to finish Grand Junction or Fruita, but I think it's really important to see kind of where we stand. Our average bill for a family of 4 is about $145.18 a month. That's based on a monthly gallons usage of 4,800 gallons. I got those numbers from the Colorado State University's extension on, there was a white sheet called Water Conservation in and Around the Home. When you compare us with Hotchkiss, their bills are significantly less. But and I'll go through all of them and tell you kind of where the differences lie. Their average utility bill is about $85 for a family of 4.
Including trash?
That does include trash, but it doesn't include the monthly fuel surcharge that is charged to the town and then passed on to the utility customer. So that can fluctuate anywhere from $10 to $20, depending. Cedar Edge was the one that was closest to us at $137.77 for a family of 4 with an average consumption of 4,800 gallons. But they don't provide trash service. That's provided by Roberts or Bruin, I think, yeah, Roberts Enterprises. City of Delta, they do an average in-town residential utility bill of $101.59. The town of Olathe $89.72. The town of Crawford is $79. Now, all of these are based off of existing utility rates that they may have either updated recently, or in the case of Crawford, when I got them, they said, we know we need to raise our rates. So they're getting ready to start a utility rate study in June. The one thing I want you to look at is the amount of out-of-town services Crawford has. They do have some, but it's a handful. You compare the out-of-town services that Olathe has, they have no out-of-town services. They don't provide water to anybody outside of town limits. The city of Delta doesn't provide water to anyone outside of the town limits. They do provide wastewater services outside of town limits. I didn't include this because it seems like the contention is always our water bills. Cedar Edge has 141 out-of-town services. Their population is 2,356. The town of Hotchkiss has 106 out-of-town services. Their population is 906. Paonia is a little bit different. And when you look at how many services we have out of town, it's 632. We service 23 water companies. We have an out-of-town population served of 1,482. That's approximate based on 2021 census data. And our population in 2021 was 1,447. So when you look at how many users are using our water service, but may not be paying property taxes or bringing other revenue streams in, that because they're outside of town, that they would if they were in town, and you compare that to the other communities who are using the same kind of, but they're in town and they're also paying for those services, but there's a greater number of them within town. I mean, it's economics, right? There's, I would say that we have a problem, and it's that we have a lot of out-of-town users that perhaps are causing the issues that we have with our existing water infrastructure. The only thing that I haven't been able to do or haven't tied into it has been the investment in assets or that infrastructure based on their annual comprehensive financial reports or their audits. I would be able to do that if they were readily available online. It seemed like everyone I looked at, the only audit that's available online is the town of Paonia's. Nobody else provides theirs online. So to be able to compare where those assets are and who's investing in what, I think that would be a talent lesson on policy. Perhaps they've invested more over the years, going back maybe 10, 15 years than what we have done in the past. So I thought it was pretty important to put this together. I couldn't see any where this was ever done before. And I plan to share this with our other communities who are looking to do rate studies as well. So that's one of the things I wanted to share. The other item is progress on a purchasing policy. So I am behind. I think I kind of prefaced with everything that we've been working on, and we're the things that a normal town administrator would do, like purchasing policies and personnel policies and making sure everything's up to date. I haven't been able to focus on because I'm focused on other more pressing tasks, right? That being said, I wanted to show you where we are with our purchasing policy. So I have the bones put together. The very first part of any sort of purchasing policy is an ethical standards section. That is done. I wanted to make, that's something I wanted to make sure was front and center. And then I built out the framework from there. So an introduction section, just a simple letter from me to any employee that might be using it. But as far as ethical standards, I do have four policies within those ethical standards. And ultimately, it talks about conflicts of interest. So like you shouldn't be scoring a proposal that comes in if your brother-in-law is the one that submitted the proposal, right? So simple things like that. And, it's happened here in the past. It has. And I haven't seen it since I've been here, but historic records have shown that those kinds of things have happened in the past. I thought it was important that we start any purchasing policy with an ethics standard. Purchasing authority, so this is saying who is allowed to make purchases, what those amounts are. And I highlighted some within here that, well, once the draft is complete, it's something that you will need to decide on how we proceed. So emergency purchases, well, what is an emergency purchase? How do we define an emergency purchase? That's why I've highlighted it. I think that needs its own section within our purchasing policy. Where we've done these things before, like a serious water main break or a sewer collapse, where time is of the essence, so sinkholes don't develop or somebody doesn't get hurt. I think it's really important to have an emergency purchase policy, discussed. And that's something, once it's ready, you all will have to decide what constitutes an emergency. There was some, I started with the procurement thresholds, and that's as far as I've gotten, saying where things are like, what is that threshold before you have to get 3 quotes, or what is that threshold before you need to do a purchase order. When I've said purchase order with our staff, I kind of get, wait, I don't know what a purchase order is, because we've never done them. It's not been something that's been historic to Paonia, but is truly a best practice, and that's something we will implement. But there are some exemptions that we need to talk about as well once that draft is finished. But some of the exemptions are pretty simple. Exceptions to any of these rules are like dues for CML, dues for CCCMA. Those things are set. You really can't get a discount. They actually offer a discount for communities under 5,000, or so we're already getting the best price for that. So how can you get 3 quotes? So those are some of the exceptions that we'll discuss. But I wanted to show you that I'm making progress on it, despite everything else that's going on. So there you go.
Thank you. Anything else?
I think that's it for my reports. It is.
Okay. Any questions for the town administrator? All right. Next up is actions and presentation. First one is the audit presentation by Hinkle and Company. And I believe Mr. Hinkle is on. Yes.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. You just want me to jump right in and do my presentation?
Please do.
Yes.
All right. My name is Jim Hinkle with Hinkle and Company CPAs, and we did the annual audit of the financial statements for the year ending December 31, 22. Excuse me. We start off our audit process by gaining an understanding of the system of internal accounting controls within the town, the policies and procedures, and we document those within our work papers and our work. We also then identify what we call are the control features within that internal control system. For example, the approval of an invoice prior to payment, the approval of an account coding before it is actually recorded in the general ledger. And then we select a random sample of those transactions, the disbursements and the payroll transactions, to determine whether those control features are actually working as designed and that we as auditors can rely upon those control features. We do those for really 2 reasons. The first one is that we are looking for any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in the internal control structure. A significant deficiency is defined as a design flaw in the system of internal controls that would allow an error to go undetected in the ordinary course of business. And a material weakness would be a significant deficiency that could result in a material misstatement to the financial statements. And based upon our analysis and our testing, we did not find any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in the internal control structure. That's the answer that you all want to hear. We then turn to the audit of the financial statements, and based upon that previous analysis that we did, we assess the audit risk of the financial statements. And then we primarily do what we call test of details or analytic review. Test of details is pretty much what it sounds like. We drill down in account balances and we look at the underlying transactions that make up those account balances, and we verify those to supporting documentation, invoices, deposits, contracts or agreements, things of that nature. And then we look at the analytic review where we're comparing the current year to the prior year, current year to budgeted numbers, relationships between balance sheet accounts and income statement accounts. And we're looking for relationships that we either don't expect or can't explain. And if we find those, we do more tested details with respect to those specific accounts. The end result is the audit opinion, and your opinion is a unmodified opinion. And in layman's term, that is a clean opinion. Basically states that the financial statements have been prepared in accordance with general accepted accounting principles and applied on a consistent basis. That's also the answer that you want to hear. So that the financial statements included in our audit package are in accordance with those general accepted accounting principles, more specifically in the government accounting standards, which are those standards that our government entities have to comply with. We did work with Michelle Durand of the outside consultants that helped in the closing of the books, and that went very well. So I would applaud the town for retaining that group and Michelle and working with them. We got kind of a late start because of when we were retained. I think Michelle got in there as late as well, but we were able to get things caught up. We're also on track with Michelle in order to have the 12/31/23 financial statements audit start in early June. And we should be able to have that financial statement presented and filed with the state before the July 31st deadline, which will bring you right back up on time for the state as well. In addition to the audit report, we prepare a required communication letter, and that is that we are required to communicate in writing if certain events occur during the course of the audit, and we do not have any items that we are required to communicate. We did not have any disagreements with management. We did not have any difficulties in the process of the audit. We did not find any errors in the books and records that were required to be corrected, either material or what we call not material or past adjustments. And so all in all, other than it was new to us and new to the accounting folks that were helping close the books, and we had a lot of a learning curve process, the audit did go smoothly, and we did not have any significant problems in the course of the audit. Finally, what I think is really important for the board to hear is that we as auditors felt like we had open transparency. Everything that we asked for, we were provided in a timely fashion. We were never denied access to any information that we requested. And so we felt like we had the ability to ask for and receive whatever information we felt we needed in order to complete an independent audit of the financial statements. Stefan, do you have anything to add?
No. I did the off the shoulders because it's a heavy burden gone. So we did receive $178,000 for that Delaware County was withholding. So today it came in. So it's good.
Yep. And like I said, we are already on track to work on the audit once Michelle and her team are finished with the closing, which she anticipates to be in the end of May or early June. And I don't see any reason at this point why we cannot hit the July 31 due date by the state auditor's office for this current audit cycle.
So as a result of our audit being accepted by the state, we also still have the $935,000 grant that's going to our water tank. So we were able to salvage that. That was good.
All right, I'm going to open up for comments from the public. Would anyone like to make a comment? Yes, Ms. Watch.
I would just like to say when I was.
Please locate your name, just like everybody else.
Yeah, I always like to say when I was.
Ms. Watts.
The audit, because we're still calling it, you're calling it a franchise tax. And I'd like to point out we're being charged sales tax on the franchise tax. So it's interesting that nobody caught that. I mean, is it a fee or is it a tax? Because everybody seems to think it's a tax. And you can't tax a tax. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Burke.
Bill Bruder, Paonia. I don't know if I can get an answer or not here, but the valuation of the business activity fund is significantly different from what I think is the same accounting out of the 2021 audit. Is it possible to get an explanation or discussion of why those two are so different?
Thank you, Mr. Burton. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. Question from the board.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Could you please explain the highway tax at the end of the audit? Where does that money even come from? And do we get some of it?
Is that to me?
No, it was to the auditor,
Mr. Hinkle.
whoever can answer it.
Yeah.
So that is a report prepared by the town. And we are just simply putting that into the back of the report and making sure that the numbers agree back to the general ledger and the accounting records of the town.
So these are from sales tax, right? So these are revenues that we've actually receipted in, and based on like what we've spent for road work, that's done at the bottom of page 1. And you'll see like a beginning balance. That was a carryover from the last worksheet from the previous year. Total receipts that came in were 245,000. And then the total disbursements were 201, which left an ending balance of 1,069,000.
Yeah. So are these just regular sales tax, or do these have something to do with fuel?
Okay, if we can get down deeper. So these are specifically from sales tax, and then if we did anything else like charges for service or other miscellaneous receipts, that's where we'd see like refunds from when we had our WEX card and things like that, we're going into that highway fund. We don't have the WEX card anymore.
Right. So tell me, what is the take-home message here in terms of money on page 122 of the packet? I see the total expenditures of 201, almost 202,000, and the ending balance of 1.69 million. And what is that? The 1.69 million, 0.069? Is that in somewhere else in the audit? That number?
I don't believe so. So
Okay.
this is a form that's needed to continue to receive the highway user tax, so that sales tax from the state. So I don't think it may be shown somewhere in revenues, but this is a specific breakout from what we, from previous worksheets, and we keep carrying it over.
So there's probably not, this is okay news. I mean, it's not.
The entire audit was really good news. So our financial position is really good. And I think Jim could attest to that by seeing what our unrestricted, funds were, available funds was kind of.
And I just meant that.
Let me step in for just a moment. Don't move that back. Go back to where you were. So, for example, the numbers are kind of buried inside of your general fund accounting. But if you look at the page that's on the screen right now, and for example, down there at the bottom, it says total disbursements of $201,872.99. See that number there? Now, Stefan, if you would go to report page 8, I think that's PDF page 30. That's the general funds income statement. So go down a couple pages. Keep going. Stop. That's the same number is what's showing on the expenditures on the public works line of the general fund, i.e. the roads and bridges and streets and whatnot, the 201,872. So those revenues and the expenses on that highway report are included within those general fund revenues and expenses that are shown on the report that's listed there. Now, I will back up for just a moment to make sure everybody's kind of on the same knowledge page. You all have 3 sets of financial statements in this package. The first one is called a government-wide statement, balance sheet and income statement that shows both the total of all governmental activities and business type activities, the water, the sewer, the trash. Those are on a full accrual basis, just like any other business. You go to the Apple or Microsoft or something like that, they're on that same accounting basis. The next set are these, the governmental funds, balance sheet, and this is an income statement, and they're on what we call a modified accrual basis. So we're looking at the sources and the uses of funds. What revenues did we receive as a town during the fiscal year or will receive immediately after within 60 days? And what expenditures did we have and how we use those funds in the fiscal year or immediately thereafter? And so, for example, capital asset additions in a normal business would not go through the income statement because they're additions to our capital assets. But on this statement, they're shown as expenditures. And you can see that capital outlay line there. And so what we're trying to show on this statement is what tax money was available and how did we use that tax money. The third statement is the business type activities, and that's on a full accrual, just like the first one, where we show fixed assets and depreciation and things of that nature. So what this report is showing and what ties back to that highway report is the tax money that was received, and that money's buried in that $1.3 million up at the top of the statement. And how did we use that tax money? And in the case of the highway streets money, the 201,000 is shown in public works, which is the streets and sewers and things like that. Now, I got a little bit more in the weeds than you probably anticipated.
Actually, it was helpful. Thank you.
I'm the one that put the worksheet together, and I had to go in and dig all of this information out. So, thank you for reminding me where I found it from.
But it makes sense that it's with Public Works.
It is, and so this doesn't have like water and sewer because those are business activities, enterprise funds. So that is strictly streets.
And just to kind of clarify real quickly, the difference between a government fund and a business type activity fund, a government fund, typically more than 50% of the revenues come from tax sources, where an enterprise fund, more than 50% comes from fee for services, or what we call exchange transactions. And that kind of separates the difference between government and business type activities.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Okay. Please do.
First question is, what do you typically see in small rural communities for the level of reserves versus the budget? What percentage?
And this is a good page to be on here right now. In your general fund.
What page are you on again?
The one that's being shown right now.
What number in the packet?
What audit?
Or page number in the packet?
That's PDF page 8.
Yeah, audit page 8.
How about
What you can see from there is in that general fund, which is the general operations of the town, we have a fund balance of $1,444,000.
Right.
And our expenditures for an entire year is $1,194,000. So we have a full year's worth of expenditures in our fund balance. And if Stefan, if you go back one page to the balance sheet, 2 pages, there we go. Of that $1,400,000 in fund balance, we have basically $1,100,000 in unrestricted cash and $600,000 in restricted cash, with another roughly $300,000 in receivables. So when you look at that, we have a considerable cash balance for the size of our expenditures. And we really have almost a year's worth of expenditures in cash. That shows that you have had some pretty significant financial discipline over the past years that allowed that to be built up and give you that basis of cash on hand in case the tax base drops. You still have the ability to meet all of your needs.
That still didn't answer the question, because the question is, what's a typical cash reserve balance? Because I think you're reporting it at like 144% or something like that.
It's typically pretty close to this, especially in the smaller towns that we work with, and we work with quite a number of them. We'll typically see that 1 year's worth of expenditures in that cash balance. Where you built that up over the years. So this is fairly common from what we typically see in that general fund. Now, the capital improvement fund, that may be a little bit different. That usually builds up, and then you spend the money and it drops down. And then it builds up, then you spend the money and then it drops down. But in the general operating fund, that first column on your left, that's pretty typical from what we see with small towns.
Thanks for that. Second, I was the one that signed a request for an extension and they turned us down. So I really appreciate you pushing the timetable so you get it in on time, because the state was not too happy. So thanks for that.
You're welcome. And we'll make sure we jump on it and get that July 31 deadline met.
And then the last question is, in a lot of the previous governments that I worked on, the board typically sees a monthly financial report showing actual expenditures for budget. We don't see that very often here. And I'm just wondering, as part of an audit, do you typically look at those kind of financial reports too? Because we've had so much turmoil on the financial end over the last 2 years that the reports started falling by the wayside.
We don't typically look at the monthly reports that are prepared or presented. We're looking at the annual report of the year-end financial statements to the actual final budget that's been approved by the board. So we really don't look at the monthly reporting that may or may not be presented to the board. But I do believe that a monthly report would be very valuable for the board.
So do I.
Yes.
Because we approve expenditures almost on twice a month. And typically it's hard to see where those expenditures actually fall on the budget. And that's what's hard when you're trying to be prudent about money going out.
Well, and I'll add something else. Stefan mentioned in his report, as I was listening, trying to adopt a policy of using purchase orders in the ordinary course. And I think that's also very important, because what a purchase order does is, among other things, is it encumbers the budget. So even though you haven't spent all your money yet, you may have encumbered the budget with purchase orders that are outstanding, and that helps alleviate overspending and spending more than what's been budgeted. So I applaud that effort. I think that's something that is just adds to the strength of the financial processes of the town.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, anyone else? Kathy, anything to ask? I guess not.
Can I just make a statement?
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring up that I believe it was the last meeting Kathy had said, budget to actuals. And so Stefan those are coming. once all this gets put together, because, you've been so busy doing the audit.
Yeah, and so, yes, we've been working on them since I got here in July. We just had to get pieces in place first. And we made the change from 21 to 20, from 22 to 23 with our codes, so our fund codes. And because of that, the transparency portal with I haven't eaten today other than these cashews.
Oh, dear.
ClearGov?
With ClearGov have been, they've had to redo everything. So for that transparency portal, and once that's done, it'll be pretty easy to see budget to actions. But I got a message from them yesterday, and I haven't had a chance to reply because knee deep in utility bills.
And I just wanted to make it used to be that the disbursements had no allocation budget associated with them. And we didn't actually start seeing that until 2022. So I just am saying this because we really have come a long way. And, and I've been doing on the finance committee all that time. And I can see exactly where money is being spent. I know the codes, all the codes, and if you look at the disbursements in this packet, they are down to every allocation of every budget code divided. So we have come so far in seeing where the money is coming out of. So I just want to say thank you.
It's budgets previous to 23, I can't make any sense of. So moving forward, I hope that's pretty easy to do as well.
Okay. Did you have something to add, Ms. Swart?
No, that was our fault.
Oh, okay. All right.
The man behind.
Thank you, Mr. Hinkle, so much for all your hard work in bringing this to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for allowing me some time in your meeting to present the audit and have some discussion. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you. I think we understand it a little better now. All right, let's move on to the second presentation, which is a status update from Phoenix Rising Resources on the Comprehensive Plan. Yes, please.
Good evening, everyone, board members and mayor. We are here to request a budget extension for the completion of the Town of Paonia Comprehensive Plan. Do you want to say something first?
That's later. This is where you're at.
Oh,
sorry.
I'm jumping the gun. Now.
She wants to get to that. Quit the drum roll,
Okay, so there's two parts to this circus. All right. No, it's not a circus. I don't mean that in a bad way. Get my footing back. Okay, so where are we right now? Well, as you may know, we have turned in a full draft to the city, to town administrator Wynn, and we have also done several public presentations. The most important one likely being the future land use session, which was hosted at the Blue Sage. I believe a number of you were there. Attendance was really great. We got some great feedback. And we did actually get quite a few public comments after that, which was great, via email and people turning in written comments, and I think one letter. So we have not incorporated any public feedback yet. Our next session was on the water and sewer and streets will be in transportation. So we did the water and sewer and solid waste management portion of the plan at the last planning commission meeting. The next elements up are economic development and governance, and those will be shared at the next planning meeting. And then we have a final presentation of the sections of parks and recreation and transportation. And I feel like I'm forgetting one, but those are the big ones. Trees. Thank you. This is why it works with me. So we're going to do trees as well. That will hopefully ultimately be included in the utilities section, but was kept separate for now because we were working on it in a different way. So we have a couple of meetings still to have on the transportation one, but otherwise our research is done and we're really just standardizing the formatting for all the different elements and citing and getting everything ready to be delivered. Let's think about what else. Our goal is still to have a final full draft, I believe, approval on the June 6th meeting, June 5th. Yeah, any questions about the process so far?
I should say the comment period for infrastructure ends tomorrow. So if you have comments for infrastructure, please.
Yes, please get them in.
Any questions from the board?
Just a clarification, infrastructure is the conversation around water and sewer.
Great,
Okay.
solid waste.
And the public comments that you've received after the land use meeting, I was at that meeting and it seemed like a lot of what was presented was kind of in line with all the feedback that we have had before. And I'm curious about if there are any comments that you received afterward that kind of ran counter to that theme, or were they all kind of similar to what was spoken at the meeting as well?
I have not completed reviewing all of the comments.
Okay.
I have found one set of comments that requested a slight change in the map, but with very solid reasoning and pointing out specifically where it would be more appropriate as urban farmland versus density development, and making sure that we've correctly captured the location of the current mobile home park and that in our map. So mostly just like, I would say the most substantial are some tweaks to the map, but again, nothing really of material substance.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anything from the public? Yes. Please stand and come to the podium.
Can you just tell us when the next meetings are, or the dates of the meetings that you have? We have the June 6th, but the other.
They're all on the website for the town, both under the housing, both under the comprehensive plan, and then they're just in line with all of the planning commission meetings.
Okay, I just wanted to know when those were. I'm on the planning.
April 3rd here.
Okay, the 3rd, my glasses are too weak.
The 17th is
Okay.
when the comment period ends.
Okay.
For economic development and governance. Looks like we have another status update on Tuesday, April 23rd with the Board of Trustees. There's draft element presentations, transportation, parks and trails on Wednesday, May 1st. And that will give us time to meet with the consultant that you all are working with, which is great. So we're looking forward to incorporating that. And then the comment period will end on the 15th. And then I believe that is the final comment, like all comments done on the 15th. We are waiting till the end to incorporate comments because we do see sometimes people comment on other sections, not in that section, which is fine. But we'll be incorporating all the comments after the 15th. Yeah, good.
Yep. So when this process is all said and done, we will have had 5 public hearings. So we've had ample time for collecting comments based on each draft of each element. And that's why we have a window when comment periods close. We do have one for Flume that came from the schools.
Great.
So I'll get that over to you. I think we can sneak that one in.
Yeah.
It's in support of the future land use for that area. So we do have plenty of public hearings. We're meeting our requirements and then some. And that's going to go into what Colin Rose or Jess will talk about for an amendment to the contract later on in this agenda.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the public hearing for the hotel and restaurant liquor license transfer. Okay. I will now open the public hearing on the application submitted by Flying Fork Limited for a transfer of a hotel and restaurant liquor license for the property located at 101 3rd Street, Paonia, Colorado 81428 by owner Jessica Cantinella. Did I get that right?
Pretty close.
Okay. Well, you can correct me. The purpose of this hearing is to provide a public forum for all interested parties who wish to comment on these applications before the Board of Trustees. The procedure for the public hearing will be as follows. First, we will have a presentation by town staff. Next, there will be a presentation by the applicant. After these two presentations, we will allow members of the public to speak for up to 5 minutes. All testimony must be presented at the lectern after you give your full name and address, and I swear you in. Please do not repeat points made by other, but it is fine to say that you agree or disagree with a comment previously made. Please direct all your comments to the Board of Trustees and not to the town staff or the applicant. After receiving public comments, we will allow the applicant and town staff an opportunity to respond and answer any questions raised by public comments. I will then turn the matter over to the Board of Trustees, and trustees may ask questions of anyone who testified. We generally will not ask questions during the presentation. Finally, I will close the public hearing, and the Board of Trustees will discuss the matter and take some kind of action. Once the public hearing has closed, no further comment from the applicant or public will be taken. However, the board may ask for advice from the town attorney. Public hearings are recorded for the public record. So do we have proper notification?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Do any trustees have any disclosures such as conflicts of interest, ex parte contacts, anything?
We're looking forward to another restaurant.
That's bias partisanship. All right, next up will be the staff presentation. Could the town clerk please do the staff presentation?
And thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for saying that, because I'm pretty sure I told her today that one of you at least would say exactly that. So I think everybody here is familiar with the Flying Fork Cafe, and this is a transfer of liquor license ownership. I found nothing in any of the background to prevent the transfer of this license. All paperwork's in order, all fees are done. It's ready to go to the state upon approval of the local licensing authority, which is you. Let's see. Police is in order, checked with the police department and public works, as well as the administrative offices, and nobody noted any issues or concerns with there being an active restaurant with a liquor license but open back up in this location. The new owners have been really open. I'm sure you'll enjoy hearing about their plans for everything, and they're excited to get going. So all the legal requirements have been met, and as always, I do have certain things here that I didn't put in the packet for privacy reasons, but of course, you as the board are more than welcome to see any of them that you want to.
Have the fees been paid?
Yes, they have.
Okay. Okay, then next we would have any other staff comments? Engineer, Public Works, Police Department? Okay, all right. Then the applicant presentation. Now you get to shine.
Should I come up?
Yes, please come up and state your name and address.
My name is Jessica Catinella, and we live at 38721 Highway 133.
Okay, do you swear to tell the truth in this matter?
I do.
Okay. Please make your presentation.
So we're excited to be opening up the Flying Fork, and we participate from Kelly. We're going to do our best to serve the same quality food. If we can make improvements, we will. This is my husband, Franco, and he will be the primary chef. He's from Sicily. So he's hoping to bring some seafood to the menu. We are planning to do a little bit more separation between the bar area and the dining area, and have people come in through the back as per, I guess, historically, for dining. What else can I tell you? We're doing lots of work and getting it all cleaned up, and we should be ready around
April 10th.
April 10th. Good. Thanks.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
I could just go on and on and on. Just get me on a roll.
And I want to address the board thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much. You can go have a seat. All right. I think we have a David Bullock. Okay, now I'm going to open get to public comment portion. I'm going to open the public comment portion of the public hearing. Please come up, state your full name and address for the record. Who would like to address the board in this matter? You have 5 minutes. Okay, seeing nothing, then I'm going to have the applicant or the staff have anything further to add. Okay. Before we turn to, okay, I will now close the public comment portion of the public hearing. Before we turn to trustee questions and deliberations, I want to state that the documents included as part of the record for this public hearing include all application materials submitted by the applicant, all materials included in the packets, all written referral and public comments received regarding the application, the notice of hearings, and the town's liquor ordinances. Does anyone have any objection to the inclusion of these items in the record? Okay. Let's get trustees. Who would like to ask questions from the trustees? Let's see, Kathy. That's, yes.
I think just generally, what are your thoughts on the kind of liquor menu that you would be serving? I'm assuming similar to what was there before, so an emphasis on wine, but some cocktails and some beer, or like what is the kind of distribution that you're thinking?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of wine.
Okay.
And then of course cider, and to have a cider there, so get that in. Offer. It's nice to be able to.
Could you stand up, please? Thank you.
I apologize. It's nice to be able to think about facilitating all of the needs that people have when they come to a restaurant. Some people would like to have a margarita, which is nice that I can serve that, and you can also serve a cider and a beer and wine. All at the same time, if somebody would like a nice mocktail, which is kind of new and up and coming, where it's a non-alcoholic beverage that's still all sorts of fancy. We're hoping to have that on the menu as well with several options so that everybody can be included. And Italian sodas.
Thanks. And espresso.
Okay, anything else from the trustees? No. Yes.
Just questions about proposed hours of operation and whether you're doing lunches and dinners.
We will be doing lunches and dinners. Yeah, and I think we'll close one day a week. We haven't quite decided which day.
Make sure it isn't a Monday, okay?
Thank you.
And I have a question about, yes. Oh, the garden. Are you going to continue to use the garden?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the outdoor patio.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else? All right. Hearing none, if there are no other questions or comments, I will now close the public hearing and turn the matter over to the Board of Trustees for consideration of the resolution listed on the agenda. Discussion? This sounds like a winner.
Having eaten there many times, I feel like I know that it's going to be great.
Yes, and I hope there's some new items on the menu.
I mean, since it's been a restaurant for so long, I don't see any problem, and it was served multiple types of alcohol. I don't see an issue.
Yeah.
Just can't serve espressos until after 2.
Oh, they can do that.
Just trying to help Morgan.
If I had a conflict of interest, there.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. If there's no further discussion by the Board of Trustees, I would entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application for the liquor license transfer from Fine Fork LLC to Fine Fork.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
And thank you, Kathy. All right, that motion carries. Congratulations. We look so forward to having you. All right. Yes.
Trustee Swartz, to clarify, was that aye for approval or was it for nay? It came in after.
That was an aye for approval.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will be a little slower, Kathy. Or trustee Swartz. All right, moving on then. Agenda item number 1, consideration of approval of the First Amendment to lease with SBA Towers 2 LLC.
So I'm requesting that you table this until the next meeting. The lease amendment that's in this packet doesn't include or doesn't look to be accurate to be what was negotiated. One of the exhibits I found is missing. And so I'm asking that this be tabled until the next meeting. We did go through attorneys as well, so.
I think in our previous discussion, we also talked about compliance with dark skies ordinance and stuff. I didn't see that.
Correct. So there's some missing provisions that we need to make sure.
Just make sure that's it.
So can we have a motion to table?
Motion to table this discussion to the next.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, motion. All right, motion passed. I got to slow down. Agenda item number 2, consideration and approval of camping at Apple Valley Park for the Volunteers for Outdoor Colorado group, May 4th and May 5th.
We don't have an ordinance yet clarifying if I can approve camping park or not. So this is an extension from what happened last year. And so we're just asking for.
Okay. Comments from the public? Yeah. Oh, no, it's true. Never mind. Okay. Yes, thank you.
I have a comment.
Okay, just a minute.
Tracy McCurdy, 324 Orchard. We did this last year, as Stefan mentioned, and the event went really well. Volunteers for Outdoor Colorado are coming here to Paonia to help us to improve the trails at Onjogo Mountain. And they're a very professionally run organization, and they left the park in great shape, cleaned up after themselves, and this has the support also of Bureau of Land Management. So I just want to voice some support for them coming into town and being able to camp there at Apple Valley.
Thank you, Ms. McCurdy. Ms. Howe.
Yes, I have a question. How many volunteers will there be?
All right. Yeah.
I think we can answer that. Last year we hit around 30 volunteers, and the organization putting it on provided them with food, and they did clean up the park after they were vacated. I mean, it was kind of mayhem when they were there because there were tents all over the place and people camping in various places, but they were out when they said they were going to be gone, and they left the park. They are working on our jumbo trails, and the least we can do is let them camp.
I think that last year there were less than half a dozen tents actually that were there. There were a good number of volunteers, but many of them came locally and did not spend the night there in Apple Valley. We may have, up to say 20 campers this time around. But I wouldn't imagine it would be more than that. They camped on the east side of the park, east of the tennis courts, in a nice big open area there. That's what we're hoping to have again this year.
Thank you.
I have another comment.
Yeah, please.
Actually, a concern, since our driveway and the driveway of 2 other members of our community come out onto that Apple Valley exit. And just, I'm concerned that there's sensitivity to using that access, and I just have a concern about that many people being there overnight and being aware that they could be impacting the residents on that driveway.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. All right.
So, Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Good news, signage will be going up before April 1st to help delineate where you can and cannot go at Apple Valley Park.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Can we have a motion if there's?
Oh, I'm just speak to Lynn's concern.
Oh, yeah, please come up and to the podium. Thank you.
I just wanted to mention that, that last year we found it much easier for the volunteers to actually walk up Pan American and not go the east side of Apple Valley where Lynn is. It's just a shorter walk for people. And then we had the volunteers for Outdoor Colorado trucks with their tools go up to the top of Pan American. So there really shouldn't be, any increased traffic, foot traffic going to that east entrance of the park where Lynn's spot is.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Trustee McGinnis?
Yeah, it's been alluded to, but just for the record, there wasn't any cost incurred by Public Works for this event last year or any complaints from them?
Not at all. They cleaned it up very, very well.
Okay. Anything else from the trustees? All right. Seeing none, can we get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion that we approve camping at Apple Valley Park for the Volunteers for Outdoor Colorado on May 4th and 5th.
A second.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, that motion passes. All right, next up is consideration of submitting a SS4A grant to the U.S. Department of Transportation to create a safe streets plan for the town of Paonia. So this is, in order to get other U.S. Department of Transportation grants, you need to have a plan that they approve in place. And so this grant is to create that plan. And we are including all the streets in Paonia. A lot of places just do an intersection or two, kind of like the 5th and Grand intersection, but we're including all the streets. We're including sidewalks, curb and gutter, and pavement in that survey as well. And then this will, like I say, be open. It will require a 20% match, but that can also be done in kind as well as cash. And this is, again, on the reimbursement grants, what happens is you send the bills to the Department of Transportation, and then they reimburse you 80% of the bill. So it's not like we have to write them a check for whatever amount of money. All right, comments for the public? Okay, seeing none. Board?
I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, Trustee Swartz.
I have a question. Does anything like this currently exist for the town, or will this be a new document?
It will be an entirely new document. The closest we have to it, so we have pieces and parts in different places. We have the SGM report. We have the some of it's in the park and recreation report. But for example, the SGM report, they did what's called a phaser rating on the streets. And that's basically, they go out, they look at the street and say, that's bad, we'll give it a 4. This is going to be a little more comprehensive than that. But this is going to be much more comprehensive than that. But it does not comply with U.S. Department of Transportation requirements for a plan of this kind. And when I wrote the RAISE grant, I had to tap dance all around the idea that we did not have a plan.
So if I can, so SGM, what we keep referencing SGM's report, and that was really like that 30,000 elevation look down at kind of everything that we have for all of our assets. It didn't really go into great detail. I am a fan of PASER because it's from the Midwest. It's the University of Wisconsin. And I've used it throughout my entire career to help rake streets. But it's very visual, right? So it's a visual, it's a ranking based on visual of conditions of the roadway. But what they didn't go is they didn't go down into prioritizing projects. They didn't look at what is considered safe for multimodal transportation. They didn't look at those. They didn't see if our sidewalks connected, if our sidewalks needed work. They made them in little section notes that said maybe the sidewalk should be addressed in these areas, but they didn't go into detail. This is going to give us something that helps really prioritize our projects and then know what funding we need to go after. So I'm fully in support of this. This is great.
Yeah.
And I don't have to do it.
Yes, yes, we will hire a contractor to do this. And then the other thing that goes with this is that there's a lot of public comment that's required in this plan. So that will be part of the creation of the plan. Anything else from the trustees? Yes.
So will it get down to actually looking at segments of sidewalks? In terms of, and where we don't have sidewalks?
Yes.
We have right of way, but have never put in sidewalks or curb and gutter?
Okay. All of that will be included. Anything else? Okay, seeing none, can I get a motion?
Sure.
I move.
All right, Kathy, go. Kathy, go.
I move to approve applying for a SS4A planning grant in the amount of $294,974.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right, that motion passes. Next up is consideration of terminating the agreement for SCADA contract of clock treatment.
Oh, when I learned that we had this, sorry, I jumped in, but when I learned that we had this for a plant that hasn't been in operation since 2015. SCADA is really meant to monitor your systems as they operate, and it hasn't been operational since 2015. This is something that I've been looking forward to closing. I finally got their COO to respond to us with an agreement to close it out. There is a cost associated with it, but it's significantly less than the $41,000 that we would spend should we continue to pay for something we don't use over the life of the existing contract. So the net buyout price is $21,139.84. Please get this off the books.
All right, questions from the public, or comments from the public? Yes.
Christina Patterson, Price Road. So that looks like we were paying out $1,700 each month on that. That comes to $20,100 a year times 9 years is $183,600 plus the $21,000. So that's a cool $200,000. Thanks.
Thank you.
Let me do that. Okay.
Yes, it's fine.
So, have we essentially abandoned the lower treatment plant as a treatment plant at this point? If you're getting rid of the SCADA? I mean, I guess it's kind of been abandoned, it hasn't been used, but it makes me a little sad because I was on the board that, we put that all in because we thought that was going to be an operational plant. And it's a water system that served the old part of the community. And to me, it seemed like important for redundancy. I thought it was kind of interesting how Stefan was talking about the multitude of out-of-town users that we have. And the reason why we have that upper plant, which is costing so much money, is for all these out-of-town users. But I always felt there was kind of a safety factor in that lower plant, being able to supply us if something went wrong with the upper plant, the original town. So I don't know, it's just a little sad. I understand that, if we're not using it, but I wish there was, I don't know. It's like informally it's kind of been abandoned, but I don't know if I've ever seen a real great planning session about how our water system all fits together, because it seems to change depending on what administrator you get into place. And I'm not referring to you, Stefan, this is kind of what predates you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. Board.
Couple things. First of all, I voted nay because I didn't see how much of an impact on staff the work fits our priorities. So I just wanted to explain my nay vote. The tour that we all did as trustees going through the plants, I was talking to several of the public works employees at the time, and there was a lot of fear about starting this back up and not knowing what was going to happen when we took very questionable mechanical stuff that we had in all those different, what do you call those?
Skids.
Skids, thank you. I only went on one tour. Not three. So, you know, the skids were really questionable, and a lot of the equipment was really questionable, and so, and whether the tank is going to be approved too. I mean, it was, there were so many variables down there. And I know it's really sad for people that have served on past boards, because, I mean, there was a lot of realigning done on that tank. There was a lot of work to try and bring up the standards. And it's just really been a money suck for a long time. So this is kind of like the funeral for the lower plant, possibly.
Anyone else? Trustee McGinnis.
Yeah, and I think I just want to counter that by I feel like a lot of what we've heard as the board has been like prioritized for moving forward, right? And as you say, like as soon as that turns on, what's gonna, excuse the pun, but come down the pipe? and so, yeah, I do feel this like, well, it is kind of maybe a symbol of an era that's going by, but I do think we're headed in a good direction by moving forward with both feet.
Any comment? Yeah, trustee.
I just wanted to say, I don't necessarily see this meaning that the million-gallon plant will be mothballed necessarily, because we haven't discussed any of that. But to pay for this SCADA oversight when it's not running, and it's horrible that this went on for so long. So it's time to cut bait here, and that doesn't mean that what necessarily happens with that plant, because we have not had that discussion. So I just see this as a very good cost-saving measure.
Please cancel.
Anybody else on the board? All right, seeing none, can I have a motion?
I'd like to move that we consider the termination of the agreement of SCADA contract for the cloud treatment.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item number 5 is consideration of appointing trustee Paige Smith, our mayor-elect, as the local government designee to the Energy and Carbon Management Commission.
So this is something that Mayor Pro Tem Knudsen is, I think, gladly kind of giving up slowly things as he's transitioning off the board. And trustee Smith is active with our MPO and the other things that we're working on for with the BLM. I think we go tomorrow as well for another meeting. So it just makes sense to move forward with her in that position.
Okay, comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, comments from the board? Yes, Trustee McGinnis.
I feel like when we give a hat to one of our members, it's good practice to always check in that hat is gladly received and put on one's head. So I think my questions are, A, do we have a sense of what all the duties that this designation requires? And B, is Trustee Smith kind of ready and willing to step into all of those without overburdening their plate?
Well, and what I don't know exactly, I just got an email from Trustee Knudsen about notifications. But what I did read in the rules for whatever the ECMC stands for these days, that doesn't roll off my tongue, is that if there's a well pad that is within 2,000 feet of our town, we get very much involved. Mm-hmm. Whether that will ever happen, anyway, so no, I'm happy to do it, but what I wanted to be sure is that when we get the new trustees seated, that I wanted if someone else is interested, that they have an opportunity and we can maybe revisit when the new folks are back. But I'm happy to do it because of my background dealing with oil and gas. And that I'm okay to do it. And I guess I can cry uncle as I get into my term as mayor and ask that someone else do it. But at this point, I'm willing to take it on.
I'll just comment about being the local government designee. It was a lot of work in the beginning to get registered and all that stuff with them and start getting the emails and understanding what your role is and the mapping. There's a lot of close coordination with Citizens for Healthy Community and the Conservation Center just to make sure that you're representing all sides. The thing that I'm really pleased with is Mayor-elect Smith will be going to the Oil and Gas Symposium in Rifle. And I went for the first time last year, and it's a real eye-opener. And I think it helps balance your position because that is really an industry conference, and they take you through well pads and tours, and you talk to people that are the individuals that are actually doing the work. Plus, you get to meet a lot of the people that are the muckety mucks for the different oil and gas companies. And so you can establish some relations that can be helpful for Paonia down. So I think that's good. And thank you for being willing to go to that.
Sure. And also, when I was the designee, I went and represented the town of Paonia and their interest when the Oil and Gas Commission was formulating the rules. And so
After the
it's that
statute.
kind of a role as well. So there can be some trouble.
I can say that I already have bookmarked the page for changing the LGD, and it's a much simpler process than probably what you went through. So, yeah.
Any other comments? All right, can we have a motion?
I'd like to move that we appoint trustee Mayor-elect Paige Smith as the local government designee to the Energy and Carbon Management Commission, also known as ECMC.
Okay. Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion passes. All right, so this falls right in line with the last one. Consideration of approving conference attendance for trustee Smith to the 2024 Energy Environment Symposium, Oil and Gas Education for Local Government.
And it is scheduled for April 17th and 18th in Newcastle. And I am registered, but I will get up early the next morning because we have our board training the day before. So I'll just get up early. Am I going to miss a steak dinner? So, but I'm registered to go because luckily trustee Knudsen sent me an email on the day to register, and then I got on the phone with Administrator Wynn and said, I guess register and we'll see you go. So anyway, I'm happy to go too.
And I did apply for a scholarship to reimburse the cost. I haven't heard anything yet. So.
Comments from the public? All right, seeing none, can I get a motion?
I move to approve conference attendee for trustee Smith to the 2024 Energy and Environment Symposium, Oil and Gas Education for the Local Government.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion passes. Okay, number 7, letter of support for submission of a Safe Pathways for Paonia Congressional Directed Spending Request. This is the same amount as the RAISE grant. This is like our backup plan. When the motion was made to do the two back in, it was February, something like that. It was, the motion included the school, but did not include this piece of it. And so having a letter of support would be very beneficial. The letter that attached includes all the narrative that is in the congressional discretionary spending request. So everything that has been said, everything else in that report is either numbers or check boxes. So this is what has been written in that. All right, comments from the public. All right, board. All right, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we sign the letter of support for submission of the Safe Pathways for Paonia congressionally directed spending request.
A second.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, that motion passes. And Last but not least, consideration of approval for change order number 1 to the Phoenix Rising Agreement for the Comprehensive Plan. Ms. Rhodes.
First, I just want to say thank you for your service in getting the Safe Streets for All plan going. I think that's going to be really huge, and we really don't have anything. I'll just second that is comparable in the body of knowledge. So it's going to be really great for our town, and what an opportunity to be able to do that planning process now and then begin to actually implement it. So thank you so much for doing that. So I'm here to request an extension for the comprehensive plan, but the update earlier. Essentially, this project went, it was originally scheduled to end in February of this year, and it was extended out till the date that we mentioned, June. We will, I think, you know, if we need to go longer, we will. Hopefully, we'll try to meet that close date. So there's significantly more time involved than was allocated for in the initial budget. Also more public meetings. We did have public meetings in the original budget. There are more. Keep in mind we had 2 public sessions prior to these 5 public hearings. A more extensive transportation element than was originally requested, and more maps than we had originally planned for in the initial RFP that was given. So I have broken down the services as they are rendered by contractor. You can see that in the breakout that Jess handed you all at the beginning. This is not to to toot our own horn, but you all are really getting a deal. Everybody is giving a rate that's about a third of their price. Even Shay is not giving a third of her price, but she is giving a reduced rate. And so people usually bill out at 2 to 3 times more than this for their services. So this is very much an active service and really of love for this community. And this just covers the minimum to make it possible and to involve Shay as a professional in the process. So thank you for considering it.
Comments from the public? I see none. Move forward.
Kind of seemed to me that the first 5 scope of services listed should have been in the original proposal. They seem sort of obvious. That would be in any master plan. Why were they overlooked, or were they not overlooked?
Is there anyone who wants to speak to that? It was on the planning commission at the time. Otherwise, I'm happy to take that question. We spent an extensive amount of time figuring out what folks wanted from that RFP. You hopefully have read it. You will see in there it includes things like summarize existing plans, not something that's usual for a comprehensive plan. Yes, you would reference those, but you would not create a summary document. It includes directions like summarize all existing plans with actions and takeaways in under 45 pages. It does not specify the type of rigor that we would associate with a normal master plan. Now, it does say master plan in the document, and the state of Colorado does have a code and statute that specifies what that means, which is why we have stayed part of this contract and have, in good faith, been willing to work with the Planning Commission and the council as it has become clear what this document and contract really was about. We did our good faith effort with the Planning Commission in the beginning to understand what the needs were and to work on co-planning with them for what that would be. It has understandably changed, and we are understanding of that, hence why we have rolled with the process. But this in no way, shape, or form resembles what I understood that we were getting into at the beginning of this project. Perhaps there was a little bit of lack of understanding about what would be required on all sides. But we are here now, and I think we all understand what the deliverables are and have put in a lot of time and good faith effort to really try to get to a place where we can all deliver you all what will be helpful for the town moving forward.
So the 5 public hearings that I made mention of were not included in that original scope of work. So that is additional that really we should pay for. So that's why If you remember, about a month ago, I had Calarose come and prep for this, that it's coming. And I wanted you to be able to see why it's coming. And so we've already had two of those public hearings where we've interacted with the community. We've taken more feedback, and it's helped to make edits to the existing drafts. And I think that's a really important part of the process. And I will tell you, a total contract price of $68,275 for a comprehensive plan is certainly.
Yes, Jesse.
Okay, I'm going to eat some crow here. At the very beginning of this process, I was very much reacting to what I considered a flawed Paonia in motion process. It was like trying to pull teeth to get the plan from the consultants. It was in the middle of there were a lot of things with COVID that was happening at the time. But also I felt that the plan was more of a Roaring Fork plan than it was a Paonia plan. It responded to locals. So when the RFP came out, it was very professionally done. I argued very much, but let's tone it down and try and get a consortium of local people that would work on this, that could actually move this forward and would be advocates for this plan rather than someone from outside. So I was very naive. As a matter of fact, I got a fortune just in Grand Junction on Monday. It says, it's better to be an optimist and proven a fool than to be a pessimist and proven right. So my optimism in trying to get a local group and an informal plan, we had not had a general plan since 1996. It was ugly. So anything is better than nothing is the way I was looking at it. And I was trying to react to that. So some, lack of understanding on my part of what state statutes were at the time. For all of us on the board, we didn't understand that, but we did know we needed to update the sucker. And we would really like to have locals working on it. It's been somewhat excruciating for the planners to have things thrown at them as they've gone. And so I want to really own my part on that. We hired a new administrator, we hired an interim administrator in the process. So that threw a lot of things into it that were unexpected. I think this is extremely reasonable. And I really urge my fellow board members to pass this. I have a part in it.
Well, and I have to take responsibility too, because I was on the planning commission at the same time. And I really had no idea after looking at what we had on the books as a comprehensive plan. And then not even understanding the state statute and other pieces that went with it. So yeah, I have to own up to my part in that too. Acting in ignorance and wanting locals to do a local plan. So yeah, I think this is.
And I appreciate the suffering they've been willing to go through.
Oh my gosh, yes. Definitely. So I think this is very reasonable considering everything that has gone into this and will be going into this. And the quality of the plan that will come out of this is far beyond what you and I visualize.
And you've seen drafts of those elements, and it is a very good plan. So
could I make a comment? Is it okay?
She's on the planning commission.
Oh, that's true. All right, go ahead.
I just want to say I agree with Dave and Mary. I just came on the planning commission when that happened, and it's been a big learning curve. And so, I think given the circumstances, we're all learning together how to really do this in a professional way that would be accepted by the state of Colorado. So I apologize too for not being up the curve.
All right, thank you.
And haven't there been a few elements that were added that weren't in the RFP? The transportation's new and future land use management. I'm not sure was that contemplated in the RFP?
Was future land use in it? I know the map wasn't. The map was added.
Framework, but we didn't have the map.
And we didn't have transportation in there either.
Yeah, so the growth framework, but not the actual future land use map, and that really does need to be quite professionally done. I think we all as a team put an enormous amount of time into that one. And the public, to everyone's credit, also really engaged in the previous sessions, and we took a lot of feedback from them on that. So, and are continuing to. I guess I'll just say it has been a learning process. The good news is that Dave's plan kind of worked. And now there are a bunch of people in town, myself included, who are really committed to making the things in this plan happen, and who are very engaged in it, and who are, bought in and are well educated on what this is and how it works. And I think given the state that relationships were at that point in time, we've come a really long way between the town and the public. And for me, when I took on the project, thinking it was something a little bit different than what it was, my main goal was to try to help repair trust and relationship and just transparency and bring that to the process. And I think that we are on the path to doing that. So, all in all, I'm very proud of where we have landed.
Anything else from the board? Okay, can we get a motion? Trustee
I move to approve the change order number 1 to the Phoenix Rising agreement for the comprehensive master plan.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you at the planning commission.
We see a lot of all of you.
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
All right, next we have the Parks and Public Safety Committee report. Trustee Knudsen.
Okay, so typically we underline or bold things in our reports about council, what the council should consider. So I'm just going to go through those really quickly. So first of all, as far as public safety, there was some discussion about annex consideration for the park and issues about sewer lines to the treatment plant. Whether those things should actually be annexed into the town. I don't know much about annexation or how that works, but that just came up as a topic for the future board. Secondly, Trustee Stelter has suggested putting a request in next year's budget for space requirements for the police department. In other words, thinking about renting a space or doing something different since we're not doing the school thing. They're still really crunched in the space they have. So this is for future trustees as you go through the budget process in the fall to really thinking about that. And the other thing in law enforcement that's really important is a CML survey and looking at how our officers compare to other the county jurisdictions and Montrose and Grand Junction and other places, and keeping an eye on making sure that we stay competitive with our salaries for officers. So any questions about public safety? Okay, and then the last one is on the Parks Committee. We recommend that the council approve Public Works to, well, here's the deal. The backside Apple Valley Park coming out has a lot of tree cover and the ground needs work in order to safely move people out of back to Apple Valley Park, not be in the driveway that was listed by Lynn Howe, Commissioner Howe, about the street that's in her area. So we weren't sure whether there's a festival coming up, and that festival has a lot of mountain bikers, and that's the end of April. So as a Parks Committee, we didn't know whether that's an administrative decision to allocate Public Works people to try and cut some of the branches of trees and at least spread some gravel in that area so people can safely exit and go right into Vista Drive, or if that's something, I mean, if it's administrative, then no big deal. But otherwise, we think the board should approve having that done by Public Works before the festival starts. So that was one thought. The second one was we haven't really cleared up the entire right-of-way kind of thing with Lynn Howe and Jeff Roush, who own the property there. They're ready to pull the trigger on that, but Lynn did not have the latest notes from legal And so we were requesting that so that she has that information and we can move forward with trying to get that legal work done. And that's it.
Yes, Trustee Smith. Can we go up to the public safety and the dog licensing?
Yeah.
So right now, what do the officers do with a dog that's at large and there is no identification? Are they taking it to Delta?
I didn't hear exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Chief Lemon?
Yeah, we do not currently have a contract in place with Delta County or the Delta Police Department, who operates that facility down there, so we have nowhere to take the dogs. We'll try a social media blast if we have to, see if someone recognizes it. We've had pretty good luck with that, but if not, we have nothing to do with the dog.
So we really need to do some public education, because if that dog at large has a broken leg, then what do we do?
If the dog's injured, we can take the dog, but understand once we take it, it's ours. So if we take it down for veterinarian services and we have no way to identify who the owner is, town is going to be including that.
So maybe we could, anyway, I think we should talk about the dog and the dog registrations more, because I think the more people, we have, I see plenty of dogs that have nothing.
Yeah.
So if you can get them home, you put it on Facebook, but anyway, we should pursue that to some extent. So thank you. I scrolled down and saw that.
Yeah. I believe there are an entire total of 14 registered dogs.
Yes.
Right now it's really.
And I have 2.
I think we have more dogs than that.
So,
Yeah, I think the board has significant.
yes, I think the board members are.
Yeah, just for clarification, the agreement with the owners of that driveway, is that kind of the last piece of the puzzle to have kind of access to Jumbo? Okay, just curious.
That helps with signage, and then the BLM said they're willing to step in and help us with interpretation of maps and signage and all that stuff. But that's one, it's been a roadblock, is the BLM won't do any of that stuff until that access piece is cleared up.
That makes sense.
One last question about that.
Yeah.
And so can the brush and the gravel you were talking about earlier, can that be done at Apple Valley without the right of way being in place?
I don't know.
Okay, I'd have to go look at it. I don't know what it looks like and what the situation is.
So I would argue that those aren't administrative, those are public works. Delegate that to them. It's something that's normal maintenance of our parks. It's something that they can chainsaw.
Good.
I have a comment on that. Is it okay to make that?
Yes,
sure. So our land goes on both sides of that driveway. So those trees that would need to be cut back in order to have good access for pedestrian access. We would just like to work, if it is a town thing or if it's a community volunteer group, we'd like to work with them. We're just concerned about timing. We are big advocates of Audubon and birds, and that is nesting season is going to be coming up soon, and we just want to be careful of how it is cut back.
Okay, thank you.
With sensitivity to bird nesting.
Yes. Any other questions?
That's it.
All right. I think we have concluded our meeting, so I will adjourn. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Hey, you all, just know that I'm sorry about my IT delays, and I did have some surgery last week, and I'll be on crutches for the next number of meetings, but this is not like me to be on Zoom, so thanks for your patience tonight as I worked out my IT issues.
Absolutely. Of course. You're doing okay. Are you doing okay?
I am. Yep. Thank you very much. You'll probably see me hobbling around town.
Okay. All right. Well, take care and don't